How we doing? I want to personally thank each and every one of you for applauding when you saw push an in-app on the product keynote before. That made my heart very happy. Everyone having a good time? Conference? Exciting? Eventful? Hopefully not as eventful as it was for me last year on this stage. If you know, you know. I'm going to keep both feet on the stage this year. And just in case I don't, I'm here with Andrew LeClaire. Hi, Andrew. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the applause on the pink suit. I promise you I do own more clothes, but like, come on, how often do you get to wear pink? Like, let's be real. But with that out of the way, let's give these people what they came for. Insights on how to achieve mobile marketing excellence. So kick us off, Shannon.
All right, so before we begin on this path towards excellence, I want to take the temperature of where we are in our mobile journey. So I want to hear from each and every one of you. Raise your hand if you fall into this category. You're not sending any mobile messaging at all today. This is a safe space. Okay. Well, I'm very happy you're here. Hopefully, you got some good ideas to bring back to the team. Raise your hand if you're sending something, but it's generic, it's promotional, batch and blast. Hey, no shame. Good place to be because we're sending something else. So I want to help you get to a deeper level of personalization. Raise your hand if you have a level of personalization across push, in-app, or SMS, but that personalization lives in a vacuum. There's silos? Yeah, good, awesome. Well, you're halfway there. Let's focus on connections. And lastly, raise your hand if you have locked in one-to-one personalization at scale across channels. Well, I was going to say if anybody else raised their hand, then we could swap places on stage. But we're going to get you there. We're going to get you to that place. So no matter where you are, A, B, C, D, I want you to first give yourself a little bit of grace, okay? New channels are hard. New channels are tough to connect. But you've come to the right place. You've taken this first step on the path because you have to start somewhere. And it might feel a little daunting to get to option D. But this is a marathon, not a sprint. One foot in front of the other to get to your destination, which is mobile marketing excellence. Yet, every single part of that path, you're going to see some sort of success with your clients. And that's why we are here today. Let's start down this path, Andrew. Where do we begin?
At the beginning, obviously. Like any good journey,
Beautiful
you have to start here. And often this is the most daunting, right? Like it's hard to get going. So really what we want to do here is establish some quick wins that we can bring to market fast, but also ones that show significant return so that we earn ourselves the right to take on more. And what I mean by that is if you step back and think about mobile, it's a lot, right? It's SMS, it's in-app, it's push, it's all those things and more. And so when we're at this stage, what we want to do is narrow our scope a little bit and pick one of those. And Shannon is going to show you how to do that based upon what makes most sense for your business. And then from there, we want to leverage contextual data to drive engagement. But what does that really mean? Like, what do I mean by contextual data? Well, for us, when we talk about contextual data, it's information we know without knowing who this person is. It's things like their location, or what's the weather in that location. It's things like device type and language preferences, all of which we can capture natively from mobile. We don't have to go and do this big data integration project at this point, right? Mm-hmm. We can bring these things to market very, very quickly without burdening our business. But Shannon, bring it to life. How do we do that?
So I'm going to show you a couple of options throughout each of these steps of the path so that you can really get a feel for what you can do in your mobile messaging journey no matter where you are. And we're going to start in this crawl phase at the very beginning. So a great option for those starting out on their journey is to utilize contextual data because, again, as Andrew explained, it's available no matter where your consumer data is, where your behavioral data has, where it lives, or maybe you don't have it and it's not available, right? I personally love the concept of using weather, especially if you're a retail or a travel brand, to surface products or experiences no matter that weather condition, relevant to the temperature for that particular customer. For example, this retailer here used real-time weather to promote their warm winter items because this particular customer opened it up on a colder day. However, if the customer opened up the SMS on a hot summer day just like this one here in New York, that SMS is going to show sunglasses, swimwear, shorts. So this content is displayed through IP geolocation. And as we continue to go down that path, maybe we start to pull in live product inventory, pricing, social proof to bulk up the level of personalization presented. Switching over to more of a mobile app lens, there's a reason why mobile apps work so well, because they lean into the instant, urgent gratification culture across consumers today. Layering in this level of time sensitivity supports how well urgency works across mobile app messaging, especially if you have a limited time offer. So using a countdown timer inside an in-app message not only is going to bring the sale top of mind for your customer, but it's also going to help support your conversion process. Customers have seen upwards of 50% lift in conversions when using a countdown timer across their in-app messaging. And while you might not think about this as personalization, it certainly is, because we're using that level of time-sensitive contextual data personalization. Movable Link's content is real-time within in-app treatments like this. So no matter when you interact with the message, you're going to see the right experience for you at that moment of engagement. Even if the sale is over, we can swap the message post-sale to more evergreen or editorial content. And even in push notifications, right, we can use time-sensitive content to automate the build, saving you time in the production process. So let's take a triggered or lifecycle message, a message that is sent out based on customers' experience with the app and their behavior, not based on a time or a date on the calendar. Based on how I interact with the app, when I download, when's the last time I visited, am I in this space for risk of churn or opting out? Based on all of those interactions, I'm going to get a welcome offer a completely different day and time than, let's say, Andrew gets that welcome offer. So the content of the message needs to speak one-to-one to both of our scenarios. And how do we do that? Time-sensitive content. Using geo-targeting to note the customer's location and time of day can help brands, and especially, this is going to be relevant for all brands, right? But especially food, delivery, QSRs, where order habits may change based on morning, afternoon, or night. This is going to pique your customer's interest. Let's push a coffee in the morning, not when I'm getting ready for bed. And this is how we can secure the engagement and the conversion with this first level contextual personalization.
Yeah, and this coffee actually sounds pretty good. I don't know.
Sure
Anyone
does.
else? Coffee?
Lunch is soon.
Yeah.
Lunch is soon.
Okay, so let's continue down the path here. So once we've established those contextual use cases, the question's like, all right, well, where do we go next? And in this phase, what we want to do is begin to shift our focus a little bit. In other words, if that initial stage is just getting people comfortable and accustomed to engaging with us on mobile, when we're in phase 2, we want to start to drive conversions instead of just looking at engagement and things like clicks. And to do that, we're going to need to bring in some more data. Well, what kind of data, right? It goes beyond just the contextual examples we were just mentioning to actual customer data. So think about this as all the zero-party, all the first-party information that you have about somebody. In other words, we know who this person is, so let's use that to our advantage and bring in things like name or loyalty information or what products have they purchased, and use that to inform our content decisions. But Shannon, you know what I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Give me some examples.
Okay, will do. So here's a nice example of how the crawl and the walk phase merge together. And this is an important reminder that as you walk down the path, you're going to bring what you've done with you. So you're going to see here in this use case, there's a level of geolocation. Oh, I think this is the wrong talk track. Anyway, okay. There's not a level of geolocation here, but there could be a level of geolocation. That's the beautiful thing about Movable Link. No, this particular example is actually really tapping into that customer data, right? So what we're seeing here is a gamification, a visualization of your loyalty experience. And I love this use case because almost all of us probably have some sort of loyalty program, some sort of rewards or offers, retail, travel, right? But this is actually a financial service company. Quick plug for main stage at 3:45 with Synchrony Financial. You'll hear more about that. But this example here is coming from a credit card company talking about different rewards or offers. But instead of just saying, hey, you've got an offer, you've got some rewards, we're laying it back with information about the particular customer's spending habits, where they applied their rewards, where they were using their credit card. So this is all information that we are utilizing to create this visualization to not just celebrate their loyalty, but also help drive the next reward and the next redemption. This is the geolocation. I know you've all been waiting for this one. So back to what I was saying before. We crawl, then we walk. We take what we've learned with us. So this particular example is utilizing customer geolocation using their IP, or maybe now we start bringing in some of the data that we have in-house, like their zip code, or their favorite store, or their last purchase store. But now we're bringing in information like past shopping behaviors. What have I purchased? What category have I purchased in before? What was the last product that I viewed? So again, we're marrying this together of information that we know and information that is relevant at this time of engagement. So taking this and looking at it from the objective of BOPUS or curbside, right? Saying this is a product that we know you're going to like because of X, Y, and Z, but also we're relying on the fact that not only do you like it, but we know that you can get it because it's available for you. And utilizing this as an in-app message will not only help secure that engagement, but help you with the conversion process because upon this click, you're led directly to the PDP with all of the information around this particular store. Okay, so did you know that the average mobile app loses 77% of their daily active users within the first 3 days after install? That's a lot of people, right? Just for the first 72 hours. Keeping mobile engagement throughout the acquisition period of new members is critical to avoid churn. And during this time, we want to educate the customer on the benefits of their app, as well as continue to encourage high-value actions that will make the customer stickier. I love this use case. This could be used across really any sort of vertical, right? Retail, travel, similar to that in-app message that we just saw, anyone with a loyalty program. But once again, we're here looking at a financial service mobile app. A data visualized checklist that calls out specifically to each customer what they've done and what they still need to do to complete their onboarding process, to complete their account, so that they can get the most out of your brand and the most out of the mobile app that they've just downloaded. This is a very savvy strategy that Movable Link can help you with. And again, each of your customers deserve that unique conversation, really. We're just having conversations with customers, especially in the early stages of your customer journey.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Like, we need to get this right early. We need to get it right often, right? To continue to add value to someone. That's how we keep them engaged, coming back, wanting more. But let's continue down the journey here. So at stage 3, we're in run. And at this point, mobile's the thing, right? Like, we have established mobile as an important channel for our business. And now we're using customer data to begin to scale that personalization effort. So where do we go from here? Well, where we go is really start breaking down those silos that we were mentioning earlier, bringing in behavioral data from places beyond mobile, so things like web, things like email. And that way, we can use that data to inform somebody's journey as they move and adapt and shift across all of those things. But what do we really mean by behavioral data, and how do we do that? So for us, behavioral data is going beyond what's just in somebody's profile to begin to leverage things about how they're interacting, how they're engaging with us. So it's things like, what are they searching for right now on the web? What are they doing inside of the app? What content have they clicked on? What content have they ignored? All of that has tremendous amounts of insights that we can use to start tailoring our content for them. And honestly, we owe it to them to use this data not to be creepy, but to add value every chance we get. So how do we do that?
How do we do that? One more slide.
We do it by also incorporating business data.
Also.
And what we mean by business data is things like you see here. So it's things like pricing. Is there a sale on this right now? And we can use that to drive urgency. What's the ratings? What's the reviews? What's our inventory status? Are we about to sell out? All of this can be added during these experiences to begin to take that personalization even further.
So when I speak with brands, and I speak with a lot of brands, I have the privilege of talking with so many customers across different verticals. The number one program that comes up is their abandoned cart, and specifically their abandoned cart within push notifications. And there's a really good reason as to why this comes up first. Mobile abandonment rates are high. 85% of shoppers fail to make it to that checkout. And what we've seen definitively through testing is that the standard generic text push of "you left this in your cart" is a great place to start, but does not go far enough. So with Movable Ink, we can provide a rich and dynamic experience, not just calling out the cart abandon event on its own, but visualizing that experience. We're going to be able to pull in not just the product image, but important details, business data that Andrew just talked about, price, sale price, marketing information, social proof, inventory, loyalty, combining all of those different factors that we've talked about so far on the path to drive that conversion home. Reminding customers what they could have had, and then making it super simple to complete that checkout. And speaking about how Movable Ink can capture this type of behavior, one of my favorite ways to utilize that behavior is through social proof. Urgency helps drive action. We've already talked about that with the countdown timer. And this notion of FOMO really works, especially in situations when there's already some sort of buyer intent. So I want you to look at this SMS example where we're pulling in a relevant product and highlighting how many views this product has received in the last week. Movable Ink through stories can capture website and app behavior, such as products browsed, searched, or carted on a granular customer level. But what I like about this is that we're also getting that macro view across web and app. This data we can now layer onto product crops across your channels: email, SMS, mobile app. But our SDK doesn't stop here, right? Brian spoke about the SDK in our enhanced mobile suite a little bit earlier before, and the SDK now expanding our stories capabilities to grabbing that app behavior. But now we can go a little bit further and not just necessarily talk about product views or cart, right? Let's expand that because there's so many other verticals that are working with, maybe they're not selling products, maybe we're selling experiences, maybe we're pushing viewership, maybe we're driving home those offers, right? So this is an example I have here outside of the retail space. Video and audio streaming services have KPIs to keep engagement through continued listening and through continued watching. So that means more time spent in the app. How are you going to foster more time spent in the app? With personalized messaging using behavior. So with Movable Ink's SDK, we can connect our content to data for where someone left off in a title, and then in a corresponding in-app message, call out via visualization where they left off and where we can get them to encourage further watching. This is a really great use case, and I'm so excited that Movable Ink has an SDK to help support. But we also have a vast, expansive partner network of CDPs, of ESPs, and MSPs to help get you there.
Yeah, and if you guys want more information about any of that, come see us afterwards. We're more than happy to chat through it. But with that, it brings us to our last stage, which is Fly. And really what this is all about is scaling those personalization efforts that we've done up to this point. And when we make it this far, right, here's where we start to leverage that full customer 360 to provide that truly omni-channel experience, where everything's learning, adapting with one another. So that way, somebody can start a journey on mobile, right? And then they can pick that up on email, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. So if you've been keeping up with the presentation today, Shannon, give us some examples of the way that people are bringing this to market.
Yeah, and listen, this might feel so far out of where we can achieve, but it is very critical because your customers are not just interacting with one channel, with one messaging type. We are all across. So being able to communicate to your customers this omni-channel way is very, very important to keep these customers engaged no matter what their preferences are. And speaking of preferences, I love this example of Movable Ink's utilization of a live poll where we are asking a customer a particular question. What's your style? Sporty, comfortable, boho, trendy? And what I would recommend brands do is start to utilize something like a live poll when we do not know a lot of data about the customer. Over the last couple of years, data and zero-party data has become more buzzy and important than ever with all of these different privacy regulations that specifically Apple is rolling out, right? It really did impact mobile from a mobile advertising space, but that's why Movable Ink kind of fits in this really nice space because we are focusing in on zero-party data. So this example here, I would recommend using it in a welcome series, right? Because we're just starting off that journey, and as I've already talked about, it's incredibly important to maintain and keep that customer within that first 72 hours. So use this live poll in an email, and then we're using the customer's response to customize the content in a follow-up push notification. So now we're connecting our experiences together from email to push. And again, we don't know a lot about the customer, but we've already engaged with them in some sort of way. So what we can do is take that zero-party data, which is tough to collect in a lot of places, and bring that over to our mobile messaging types. And what this is doing here is showcasing content based on what you voted on. What have we talked about so far, right? We can bring in consumer data if we already have that. Maybe there's a little bit of shopping data, behavior that we can grab in, and maybe pull in some of that business data like pricing and marketing information, and now be able to show a relevant experience based on something we know that they want. And hey, maybe they didn't see the live poll, maybe they didn't engage with the email, that's okay. Movable Ink can still provide some sort of relevant experience for you. We're gonna speak to all of your customers uniquely, no matter where they're at, no matter how they're engaging with us. So, taking this a little bit further, right, and talking about our SDK and the power of our SDK, one thing that I love that we're able to do now is bring in some of that product information and retarget. Historically, Movable Ink was able to bring in that customer behavior from a product perspective and retarget it in your email campaigns, change a hero, have a banner pop up. But now we're able to bring that information from the web into a rich push notification or start to bring that mobile app behavior into your emails. And especially for those who the majority of your traffic and the majority of your conversions happen within the app, that's a big black hole, right? If we don't know what that conversion information looks like, what that behavior looks like, now we're not able to show some sort of that relevant behavioral experience. But now we can with Movable Ink Stories and SDK, or transferred from one of your partners like a CDP through the Customer Data API. And then activity is utilized, activity comes in and we utilize logic and decisioning to determine which content is the best to show your consumer. I've got one last example for you today, and it is something that I have spoken to over and over again today, right? SMS is such an important channel right now. It's emerging, it's urgent, it's intimate, it gets people's attention. But I mentioned before, Apple has had all of these different privacy regulations, and over the last couple of months, Apple has released iOS 16. This is not an Apple keynote. I know my last name is Cook, but my first name's not Tim, so I won't go into a lot of detail there, but there's been a lot that Apple has cracked down on to put privacy into the consumer's hands. And one of the things that has been rolled out with iOS 16 is if you get a text message from a brand that is not recognized by that consumer, automatically you can flag that brand as spam. Do you want to be branded as spam? No, we don't. So contact card adoption is very, very important right now. And we know this, and when we rolled out SMS over the last couple of years, ran this very successful beta, and now it is a messaging type that is available for all of our mobile customers, we knew that this contact card problem or this contact card challenge is something that we really needed to drill in on and make sure that we were giving you as a marketer an easy plan to build up that contact card adoption. So what you're seeing here is that contact card app through Movable Ink sent via an SMS so that you can have that one click and it leads with all of the information that you need to save your brand as a contact. But it doesn't stop there. Movable Ink is a cross-channel platform, so why not put this in the footer of your emails? Why not utilize your data to see who has or has not opted into SMS and play around with that logic? This is something that right away we talk about when we talk about SMS strategy, building it into your welcome series, but figuring out where it makes sense in your promotional campaigns, and again, as well as your emails.
But we just covered a lot in the last 20 minutes, so let me sum it up by saying this. Get started. Right? And I know this is cliche, and I'm going to get dogged, but I'm going to say it anyway. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with that first step. And if you've taken that, great, like keep going. That's what it's all about, is these things that you see here. And honestly, it's been at the heart of everything we talked about. But it's things like increasing our engagement, our conversion, our revenue by personalizing every experience one-to-one. But it's also about things like CSAT and long-term loyalty. And we do that by unifying experiences across channels. And here's what's key. We need to do both of those things while actually reducing the burden on our staff to bring it to market. So if you want more information, here's what to do. Go ahead and scan the QR code. It's going to take you right to movablelink.com, our mobile page. You can deep dive everything we just talked about and much, much more. Also connect with us on LinkedIn. Happy to keep the conversation going. And with that, enjoy the rest of Think Summit.
Thank you so much. Enjoy lunch.